Okay, welcome. This is my final presentation of my family conversation. We'll just go ahead and get started. So I'll begin with family characteristics. I'll start by telling you at my current job as an instructional assistant, I have worked for 3 years with Jane. She is a happy young 8-year-old girl who has Down syndrome. Jane has 2 parents who are both very involved in her life. Jane is an only child, and her parents have been divorced for 6 years. So Jane's parents had her later in life when Mom was 42, and Jane's father is Asian, and her mother is African American. Both parents are financially independent. They both have college degrees, and they're both successful with business careers. Jane spends 1 week with her father and then 1 week with her mother. So her father has remarried and he lives with his new wife, that would be Jane's stepmom, in a house, and Jane lives with her mother in a house as well. Jane loves to sing and play with all of her dolls. She's loved by her parents, and they are actively involved in her education. So when Jane is with her mother, she's exposed to an African American culture, and when she's with her father, she's exposed to an Asian culture. When she's with her mom, she has family cookouts, and she spends Saturday afternoons just playing and talking and enjoying each other's company. And when she's with Dad, he doesn't really have much family here, so he takes Jane to a museum or COSI, and whoever has Jane for that week, one thing that we know for sure is that Jane is being exposed to the world. She's got all these unique settings and environments, and Mom and Dad don't just keep her at home. They take her out into the world, and this is a good thing we know for Jane. Okay, I'm going to go to the next interactions. Okay, so interactions. So basically, with joint custody, Mom and Dad share all the responsibilities for Jane. There are no issues associated with the split, so both parents like to attend school meetings together if they can. Jane's stepmom will even attend sometimes. When Jane's with Dad, stepmom likes to paint her nails and braid her hair, and Dad does homework with Jane and watch movies. And at Mom's house, Jane and Mom laugh and play together. Mom also helps Jane with her homework, and every night she reads Jane a book. She says that Jane just loves to read, and she loves to play with her dolls, and sometimes she listens at the door and she can hear Jane playing teacher with her dolls, where she's the teacher and all the dolls are the students. So I thought that was pretty funny. But every morning she's excited to go to school. Jane has a really good imagination, and I'm sure that this is in part due to the fact that she's an only child. But Jane sees her mom's family often. She knows her aunt and her aunt's children well, and again, they go to cookouts and holiday events. And so Jane is a very social child at school and at home. She's accepted, she's outgoing, she's a joy to be around, and she's funny. And actually, when I was having the conversation with Mom, we talked about some of my favorite things about Jane, and she shared some of her favorite things, and we bonded over these fun facts. Okay, going on to the next. Okay, so life cycles. So when I started this conversation with Mom, she really opened up to me with one question, and that was, tell me about Jane's early life. She said that right away she told me about before Jane was even born, the doctor had told her that she was at a high risk for having a child born with Downs because she was 42, and that the doctor offered an amniocentesis test to find it out. And her mom, Janet, said that she had wanted a baby for so long and that the results wouldn't have mattered, so she turned the test down. But she did say that she was afraid that the test would be positive and that her husband at the time, Jane's father, who's Asian, would want her to terminate it because the Asian culture prides itself on success and having good education and doesn't really accept disabilities. It's traditionally less valued. But she's also said that looking back now, she feels silly because Jane's father, it could be nothing further from the truth. Jane is a daddy's girl through and through, and he absolutely adores his daughter. So going on, when Jane was born, Janet, mom, said that she had everything she had hoped for her daughter and wanted for her future had to be adjusted in her mind. She said that it became really hard for her to see what she had wanted for Jane before. So she began to focus on her fears for Jane, and negativity took over her emotions. Around that time, Jane was 3 months old. She was diagnosed with a congenital heart disease and had to have corrective surgeries. Um, so mom's mindset had already been troubled, and when the health issues occurred, she slipped into a depression. Um, she said that she admitted that she took her anger and her sadness and vented it on Dad, and this created issues in the marriage, and eventually it led to a divorce. So when Jane was 3, they divorced, and Mom said that she actually surprisingly got substantially better after the divorce. She used the words, it was like a fog had lifted, and she could cope with the world again. So the divorce was amicable. They had joint custody agreement and responsibilities for each parent or whatever Jane needed from them. So Mom and Dad both went to the IEP meetings together. Mom did say that Dad had a hard time listening to the academic assessment results for Jane. She said that he would actually sit there and say, I don't care what she scored. That's my baby girl. So Dad was very sentimental and loving to Jane, and it was hard for him to hear about her struggles with academics. So Mom said that she has learned to take what she hears from teachers and staff and use it to help guide her with Jane. And Jane has really grown into a lovely young girl, and she loves her dearly and couldn't imagine life without her. So that is that part. Moving on to the next. So functions. Family functions. Okay, so Jane is a hugger. She loves to hug, and she's very affectionate with everyone. The family economics are very stable. Both parents are working, successful college graduated adults. Jane attends ballet class, and she loves it. Both parents actually add to a savings account in Jane's name. Jane attended a Christian church with her mother, and Jane's mother said that she found refuge during her divorce in the church and that they enjoy going together. Mom also said that Jane is going through a stubborn phase, and it has been affecting her schoolwork and causing minor issues at home as well. We also talked about, any experiences with teachers in the past. She said that she had a negative experience with a preschool teacher who was just negative in general about Jane, which has actually made her more grateful now that she's having positive experiences with Jane's teacher now. So after I assessed what the family needed most and what they did not need, I came up with 2 areas of recommendation. Obviously, this family needed no financial assistance, anything along those lines. They have a very supportive group. They're very loving, so there's no emotional assistance on that level needed. But one resource that I thought of was emotional and respite support services for mom, stemming from mom's depression and her anxiety issues. We want mom to be well emotionally so that she can take care of Jane properly. So I advised her I gave her a website that has meeting times in Columbus for parents of children with disabilities, so she wouldn't feel alone, and she could always go there to talk if she needed to. 2 was a positive behavior plan for Jane. That was stemming from her stubborn behavior that Mom said, and Mom actually reacted very well to this. I gave her some ideas for positive behavior plans she could implement at home, as well as maybe some suggestions she could give to the teacher for a positive behavior plan at school if the teacher was not already doing so. Advocacy and conversation setup. So the conversation took place in the classroom. I had drinks and snacks set up, and I started the conversation talking about my favorite things about Jane. I felt like this was open and inviting and non-judgmental, and we really connected on that. I was actively listening to what Janet was telling me, Mom, and I used what I heard to assess and determine what resources would be best. And I asked a lot of questions so that I could better understand. And finally, the summary. For me, I believe that one thing I learned from all of this is that conversation can be a powerful and cathartic thing. Having someone who cares about your well-being, listening attentively, and making suggestions can be a positive event. And in Janet's case, I believe the best resources offered was emotional support for her. And I feel that we bonded during this conversation. And at the end, I let her know that she can come to me with any questions or concerns. And I really feel like this was a positive experience that I enjoyed. Thanks.